Thanks very much to Naz. Right, let's take another look at the papers this morning. We've got broadcaster Emma Wolfe and journalist James Bloodworth back with us for another go. Right, Emma, let's start with you, shall we? This is a story in the Express.
Yeah, not such a cheery story, I'm afraid, but it's the ONS is reporting on figures about the age of our population, basically. And they're predicting that over 85s, we're going to have 1 million more, which is a good story, I suppose.
Yeah.
We're going to have 1 million more over 85s, going from 1.6 million to 2.6 million over 85s in the next 15 years. But we don't have a social care sector that can cope with this. We've got a buckling social care sector already, and that these 1 million extra elderly people is going to place a really, really unbearable strain on the, social care system.
We've heard about this ticking time bomb, both pensions and social care.
Yeah.
It's no secret that this is going to happen. Are there any solutions in this article?
I'm not a politician.
Throw money at it? I mean, that's...
Well, exactly. We talk so much about the NHS, don't we? But there is also the fact, and that's obviously health and very much health, but we also need health and social care. People don't always need critical care. They don't always need medical care. They often need help in the home, or they need help when they are leaving hospital. They need somewhere to go, or they're just getting frail.
It's such a structural problem, isn't it? Because we need to sort of effectively change the balance of society so that we can put enough money in when we're youthful and productive in order to pay for ourselves and our elderly relatives as we get to that point where...
They're not sick, they're just older. Or maybe blind, or maybe not hearing so well, or maybe not able to get around. It's that kind of thing, which is really going to be...
Many in the care sector will say there's already a crisis rather than a time bomb looming. Let's move on to some Labour Party policy, James. They're not going to bring back the banker's bonus cap. Rachel Reeves making some announcements that suggest, those bonuses that can skyrocket, well, they'll stay the same under us.
Yeah, so it's sort of a case of unlearning the lessons from the financial crisis of 2008. And it's somewhat surprising, really. I mean, there's a case, you could say it's not unexpected for Labour to say they're not going to raise taxes.
Surprising? A U-turn from Labour?
But on this...
It's not surprising.
But I think on this specific banker's bonus issue, I think it is kind of surprising because it was George Osborne and David Cameron kept this in place. And it was Liz Truss Boris Johnson kept this in place. It was Liz Truss who got rid of the cap on bankers' bonuses. And just 3 months ago, as you say, yes, a U-turn. Rachel Reeves criticised the decision amidst the cost of living crisis. And now they're saying, they're going to keep the, not bring the bankers' bonus caps back.
It was always political, though, wasn't it? This bankers' bonus cap. I mean, it didn't really have much effect because they just got given loads of shares instead.
Yeah, I mean... I think the idea behind it...
Or a huge salary.
I think the idea... The idea behind it was valid in that, it was reckless gambling by financial lenders that led to the huge crisis in 2008. The fact that they used methods to get around, financial accounting, whatever, to get around it, I think is sort of neither here nor there, but it does say something about who Labour's trying to pitch its offer to.
It's interesting optics from them as well.
It's like overcorrection based on Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. They don't want to be seen to be associated with the left at all anymore. So they're kind of overcorrecting and pandering to bankers, you could say.
And Starmer's favourite place is Davos, isn't it?
Well, I think it's legitimate for him to be there.
Yeah, but he's really alienating his base by doing so, isn't he?
He did say that he preferred Davos to the House of Commons, didn't he?
Well, I think that's because he said...
That's a choice between...
There was too much kind of inside baseball at Westminster. That's, I think, another debate.
Let me tell you, my brother actually works in banking in Germany, and there is no way that any banker would accept taking less. I mean, as you say, you sit down, you have a conversation about how you get around...
Well, as we've seen so many financial institutions move their headquarters to Germany because of Brexit, Labour might be saying...
But they move their money... I meant in the UK, but they just move the... Maybe it's not called a bonus, maybe it's called a, perk.
It's about optics, though, for the Labour Party to say, OK, you bankers can have unlimited bonuses, doesn't really play with the people they're trying to...
When we can't fund social care. So we're talking about we have this huge struggle to fund looking after old people. Many of those people will have fought in the Second World War.
Those bonuses get taxed, though, don't forget. Let's move on to a health update about King Charles III from Queen Camilla herself.
Yeah, well, I have to be honest, she didn't say a huge amount.
It's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant, this in the Express.
I can give you 10 minutes on 2 words. She said he's getting on well. he's doing his best. She was opening a cancer clinic in North London Hospital, and she was asked about the King's health.
Yep.
Obviously, he had his 3-day stay or 3-night stay at the London clinic, and he was released on Monday.
Brilliant.
And he had a procedure for an enlarged prostate, and he seems to be doing well.
This reminds me of when Danny Baker bumped into John Lennon in the streets of New York, and Lennon hadn't given an interview for years, and he said, "Oh my God, it's John Lennon." Chased him down the street. This is while he was working for the New Musical Express, and he kept asking him questions, and John Lennon said, "No comment, mate. No comment. No comment." The Enemy headline the next week was "Lennon speaks," but it was to say no comment.
Well, I think
That's
it's
what we
quite
got
nice.
from Queen Camilla.
Getting on and doing his best that's great, then, isn't it?
It's a,
It is.
We know
And
where he is.
It
He's
does
all
matter.
right.
He
He's
is
doing
our
his
king.
best.
After
He
all.
is having
Exactly.
a well-deserved, I think, sick day. The Star front page, James this morning says, throwing a sickie is good for you. It might be good for you, but they say cheeky duvet day helps slackers be creative. Might not be great for your colleagues.
No, and it's kind of an obvious finding is that you need to take some rest sometimes. Rest is necessary to be more productive. Rest is necessary to actually get your brain into a state where you can think creatively. You can get burnt out if
The
you just
problem
work
is your sick
non-stop.
days are usually alcohol-induced, and I'm not sure how much creative thinking is done with a hangover.
Who are you
Yeah.
speaking about?
Well, all right, any sick day I may have taken in the past was usually alcohol-induced.
Yeah,
I certainly would never because I was hungover.
Would be nice if people could just get that time off anyway without having to pull the time off sick.
Isn't
If
that the
they're that
weekend,
exhausted.
though?
Yeah, I mean, what are they doing on the weekends
Yeah.
that's kind of burning them out?
Emma?
Oh, the idea. When you say duvet day, it always gives me that feeling of absolute yearning of just spending an entire
Yeah,
day
I know exactly
curled
what
up
you
under
mean.
the duvet. It doesn't happen. And when you have a toddler, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But it just sounds so nice. It sounds so warm and comforting.
I think it sounds miserable. I think
A
it'd be nice for
duvet
about
day.
an hour, and then
Oh.
I'd be very, very itchy and
Well, I
restless.
think that's the thing. You get up, you start doing things, you potter around.
Hen parties, stag do's, James. £1.6 billion is spent on hen and stag nights. I've noticed a bit of a trend recently of there was a period of extremely expensive hen parties.
Weekends abroad.
They
Yeah.
seem to have
No,
fallen out of fashion a little bit.
My friend's going to Ibiza next weekend for his mate's
They've also
stag do.
become more unpopular in European destinations. More people are having them in the UK because European destinations like
Well,
Prague.
Amsterdam's running a campaign saying, please don't come here.
Yeah, and Prague and Krakow and places like that, they kind of got fed up with kind of the boorish antics of stag parties there. I noticed Bristol, so that's my home kind of city. That's one of the biggest locations for stag do's now, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, annoying, probably.
Depends what kind of stags, I
I haven't
guess.
been to a hen or a stag. Well, obviously, I haven't been to a stag. I haven't been to a
right.
hen do for a long time.
I'm going through the second wedding phase.
Oh, I
I've-
see.
that's the age I'm at
But
now.
that must be much calmer than the
Oh,
first
yeah,
time
yeah.
around.
I'm organising my brother's stag do, and I think it might be a sort of
Nice
flight
dinner.
club or something, and then a nice dinner. Yeah, we're not going abroad.
Okay, so it's like a day affair rather than...
Oh, God, if that.
Gosh.
It's after work.
Quick coffee.
I sort of get that slight, I'm so sorry to any of my friends, like dread when you know this is coming and you think there's going to be the engagement,
money.
drinks, party,
Yeah.
then the hen do. Some people are doing a sten, a mixed one. Have you heard of any of those?
When you have that's a bit weird, isn't
Well,
it?
but then it's the stag do and the hen party combined.
I know, but
that
isn't
might
that the
lead to some
wedding?
more future weddings later on.
That's nice.
Emma
yeah.
and James, thank you so much for joining us this morning.